Well, I'm going to take it from the brain science point of view because I love brain science. I'm a total brain science geek, and I got certified in neuro-linguistic programming. But the original question about the imposter syndrome and why it's happening and why it may happen more to women is very interesting because I read his syndrome, and the fact that the imposter syndrome actually has a reason in the brain because we have a limited capacity to how much we can store in our brain as far as memories go. And so what we tend to do as creatures who are striving to survive, we hold on to the things that we think are going to keep us safe, which are our fears and all of our other things. So we remember the things that were bad because we were taught to learn from them. And then what gets brushed off and knocked down from our working memory and into our whole long-term memory are the things that we did well. Our successes, they get dropped off. And so you go into a situation and all of a sudden you're faced with a situation that you do not remember the good things, which is why Randi's exercise and all this other writing down your successes is so important for us to do, because we don't remember the good things, we remember the bad things, and then therefore it's like, oh my God, I've done nothing. I've done absolutely nothing right. What am I doing here? And that's what happens, and it is like, even when you do a job, you've done a job really well, year after year after year, and you get a promotion, then you're doing another job, and you do that well, and then in that promotion, it's like, how did I get here? You've forgotten all that work that you did to get there. It just like went out of your head, and somebody comes up and says, that's wrong. It's like, oh, you're right. I am such a klutz, I know nothing. So the interesting thing about it is that when you know that it's part of the evolutionary function of the brain, and then you put all this other stuff on top of it, that's an easier way to deal with imposter syndrome. And why it happens more to women is because some of the skills that we have are such soft skills and they're so valued, but we take them so much for granted. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I'm collaborative. Of course I'm collaborative. But you forget that being collaborative is part of the thing that makes you a fantastic leader. And we knock it off. It's not important. Fake it till you make it is a phrase that rubs me the wrong way, specifically because of the word fake and because of the brain science of why words are powerful. And so I reinvented that phrase to be own it while you hone it. Because I believe that we all have the power, we all have the inside of us, the opportunity to own, to be who it is that we're meant to be. And what we need to do is hone it while we own it. Because we already have it and just keep working on it. And yes, I continually experience imposter syndrome. It never goes away, ever goes away. You know, as in the, I mean, it's okay.
Be honest with us, please.
But you know, it gets a little better. You know, it's like every time you see it, then you can call it out and say, oh, there you are again, get lost. And what I like to do is, like Randi talked a lot about fear and how it's really part of fear. And again, I created my own definition for fear because what I believe fear stands for is our failure to envision an alternate reality. Yeah. Because if you can envision an alternate reality, then you have eliminated that fear. So like some of the things that Randi was saying, it's like, well, how can you envision that reality being different? I'm afraid of going to this meeting. How can I envision it so that the reality is I go there and I meet so many people that are going to really save my career? So that's how you can envision. You want to really get it as visual as possible. You see those people, you see those business cards, you hear that phone picking up a week later. That's how deeply you want to do that envisioning and fearing. And the imposter syndrome will not go away, but you can make friends with it and say, hey, what's up? And I like to call it a brand Bible, and I call it a Bible for no religious reason. But when I was working, I used to write for 2 different soap operas. All my children when I lived. And what we used to do is like they have a character Bible. And so before you start writing, you had to look at the character, like this in the Bible is everything that they ever did in their lives, right? Who they married, how many people they married, all that stuff. But so as individuals, I really feel like we need to have a brand Bible, and that has all of the accomplishments and the successes that you've ever had, because like I said, we're going to forget about them. So how can you create this Bible here that, and then what you put in it is all your successes, and also don't forget to pull out all of those acknowledgments, all the reviews, the positive reviews that we get and forget about. Sometimes I'll look at a testimonial that somebody wrote, it's like, oh, wow, that's fantastic. How did I do that? I mean, you know, but there it is in black and white, and if you take it out and you stick it in that Bible, whenever you're having that feeling of insignificance or feeling like a fake, you take it out, it's like, oh, that is true. It's in black and white. No one can dispute it. I didn't even write it myself. My boss wrote it about me. It was fabulous. I am great. So that's one of the things. The other thing is to get your mental picture and so your alternative realities. Since I said fear is envisioning an alternative reality, really sketch out what your alternative reality is. I have, like, before I work with the clients, sometimes I'll have them create a thought story. And it has, like, once upon a time there was a girl, and then she'll have, it's like, I just worked with a woman very recently. I had her create that before we started working with. And she wrote all these things that she wanted to be more brand forward at work. She wanted to be able to share her brand at work, and she wanted a promotion. Within 4 weeks, everything on her story came true. And so you write it down, and you write it as specifically as you can. So that's another way of just envisioning, because our brains are very supple. It will believe and it'll start to go in that direction that we train it to go in. So when you can write that story, write it down. And the third one is one is like, once you have that story, create what I call your personal avatar. Because sometimes, you know, it's like, for Veronica doesn't have to come here today. She could have sent Veronica. See, I had my clients that you create an avatar who is slightly different than you are. I mean, Veronique has absolutely no fear. Veronique is going to walk into that room and own it because she knows what she does, and she's going to sit up a certain way, and she's going to do a certain way. Veronica, she can stay home on her sofa, and that's okay, because Veronica will be there when I get home tonight. But Veronique is taking over this space. So create your own personal avatar. Beyonce did it. It worked for her.
Yeah.
So if it worked for Beyonce, it can work for us. And then the last thing I want to share you with is like, and I call it share your lasagna. Because when you think about it, if you were given a gift, and we're all given gifts, if you were given this gift to be able to produce whatever type of food you wanted to at the ready, anytime you needed it, all you had to do was say, lasagna, open your purse, and there it is, steamy, hot, and delicious. Great trick, right? That would be a great thing. Now imagine you walked into a room like this, or a job, or an interview, or a prospect, and you saw that everybody, or a lot of people, look kind of hungry. They looked like they hadn't eaten in days. They looked like they were emaciated and starving. Would you or would you not open your bag and offer them a plate of lasagna? I'm sure you would. And so that's the way, I mean, and I love what Veronica said before about how she focuses on what to give. We all have these gifts, so don't forget that you have the power to nourish someone with your gift. Don't leave them starving.